Toscano for the record. Attorney at law, you're an office located at 62 Commercial Walk East, Boston, Mass. 02110. I'm here on behalf representing Gary Petty and his wife Joyce Petty, the owners of 102 Prince Street and 104 Prince Street. There are actually two properties. Two petitions. I'm going to take them separately so I don't confuse everybody. So why don't we talk about really 102 Prince Street first, which is the corner building at Prince Street and Thatcher Street. The main entrance on that particular property is actually 3 Thatcher Street. If you're looking at this photo, this is the corner. It would be this building that wraps around to about right here. And the main entrance is 3 Thatcher, but I think the legal address might be 102 Prince Street. I'm here respectfully requesting your support to add a 1-story addition to the existing property. The property is about 43 feet high, and it will go up to about 54 feet and some inches. In that property, to no change of the legal occupancy is necessary. The Petty family, what they're doing is renovating the existing units. Right now, there are 6 residential units and 1 commercial unit on the first floor. And you might recognize that commercial unit as lavanderie, a laundromat, which will remain. The laundromat is going to stay there. And the 6 residential units, even with the addition, will remain at 6 residential units. There are 2 units on the stairwell in the middle, and there are 2 units on each floor. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then with the addition, we're going to make 2 duplexes. That will be about 1,300 square feet of living space, 2 3-bedroom units. There is no roof decks that are proposed for this these units of these property. There will be no roof decks in the future. The Petty family has made a conscious decision after meeting with some of the abutters that there will be no roof decks there on this property. There are some violations that we have a zoning board of appeals date on December 16th, which is Tuesday. Some violations, some of the common violations that we see regularly when there's some addition to the property. We see off-street parking. Well, actually in 102, I apologize, there's no off-street parking violations due to the fact that we're not changing the occupancy, but if the rear yard is sufficient, open space, roof restrictions, because we're altering the roof, floor area ratio, so we'll be going up to the Board of Appeals seeking relief from those violations. We have reached out to all our abutters, sent out approximately 175 letters to our abutters. We've received support. I believe I passed up to Victor a number of letters from our direct abutters who are owners of the properties abutting 102 Prince Street that are in support of it, the addition, and we've been continuing meeting with our neighbors to be transparent in this process. So I'm here to answer any questions in regards to 102.
Okay, so do we have any abutters who would like to speak at this time? Any abutters at all? Do we have anyone else who would like to ask a question?
Well, I'll speak. Most of you know, I live at 105 Prince Street, I'm super municipal, a neighbor. And I just want, I'm speaking to the issue of, in spite of the thoughtful plans, there's no trash room. And this has always been a major consideration of mine. If I can just go back a few years ago, when a developer of the name of Mr. Cristolo converted 101 Prince Street, which is where the Prince Street Pantry is, into condominiums or pied-à-terres, as he called them. He took out the main floor trash room facility to squeeze in yet one more condo. Since he has done that, we live across the street from that, and it's continuous. Someone leaves for the weekend early, and their boxes are on the sidewalk on the backside of our building, and so we bring them in. And this could have been alleviated. I mean, these are neighbors who obviously don't care. We've addressed the issues, but it could have been alleviated if they offered a facility for these people. The condominiums over there are really small. What I want to say is the amount of online retail purchases has it's just growing exponentially. It's gone up, it's doubled in 5 years. That translates into more boxes in tiny little apartments when you get your goods delivered. And the city has stepped up, they recycle 2 days a week, but you still have that period of time where you have boxes and that kind of stuff in your apartment, and really in very small living spaces. What I want to say is the city has, they're recycling 2 times a week. They recognize that that's really an important issue. They have now given us a compost center over here to Nazaro so that we don't have to have our smelly organic trash in our kitchens when we wait for that, that 3-day stretch to take our trash out. And I just would like to see the developer and architect stand up and champion this cause of offering all us city dwellers in these little small spaces a place where we can put our recyclables until trash day. It's really, I think it's the right thing to do, and I really respect your request, your consideration on this. It doesn't take up much space. It doesn't equate into a rodent problem. And I'll just end this by saying, at the Munich meeting, I told everyone there on Monday I got a bed delivered, and this is true. How convenient. On Monday, 2 hours after the trash was picked up, I have a huge box that could be sitting in the middle of my living room right now, waiting for me to take it out tomorrow morning. But we actually have a space in our basement where we can store that until trash day, and it'll go out tomorrow morning, as opposed to sitting on the street all week, which some of the neighbors will do, or sitting in the middle of my living room. Thank you.
Comments from anyone else in the room on the proposal? Victor, do you have any questions?
No, I just wonder whether there will be a response to Sue's comment.
Okay, I'll respond. So we've had discussions about it. I spoke with the architect, I spoke with the family. I mean, right now, there's no plans in this particular building, 102-3 Thatcher Street, to put any type of trash room. The residents, Gary and Joyce, do a tremendous job informing the tenants of the trash days when they're supposed to be put out in the recycling.
Although we did have trash on the street yesterday.
They're on hands that they're lifelong residents in the neighborhood. They live here in the neighborhood at 357 Commercial Street with family, 2 daughters and family. And Gary and Joyce are constantly at their business at the Lavanderia. And like I said, they constantly inform the tenants, and they'll continue to do so to let them know of the trash picks up, the days and times, and where to put out the trash, and do what many of the other owners do. There's no basement in these the buildings to put trash down, but there is no plans to put any type of trash rooms. There is no. It would have been easier maybe if there was some space to put a trash room, and if there was the property manager. There is no property manager, so we're going to rely on the tenants, and hopefully the tenants are responsible. If they're not responsible, I'm sure the landlord will take the appropriate steps.
So we call you and you.
I'm sorry.
Call you and you.
I'll call you.
We have a comment.
My name's Tom Castell. I live in the same building as Sue. Just to elaborate a little bit, last night there was a television monitor and 3 bags of garbage that were left next to the ATM on Thatcher Street at this building, this very building that we're talking about last night. So there's a problem now, like I mentioned on Monday, at the Monday meeting. And if you look at the first floor, the corner unit right behind the ATM, there's no, that room isn't, there's no label for that room, so might that be
That's a store. That's a store behind the ATM. That's a boundary. There's no room.
Could part of that be used?
To put the trash. It's a business. 6 residential trash inside the store.
Well, I mean,
Just
the architect
recyclables are
can,
things, not necessarily trash, but recyclables. That's the biggest problem for city dwellers.
What I do is I break my box down Some of them have to go under the bed, and there's sometimes the little space, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Between the refrigerator and the wall, and I tuck it there. I grew up in the North End, no one ever put their trash in the basement. My mother lives on Thatcher Street, she's had people from Winchester bringing trash into the North End. That they've opened the bags, yes. So it's just a continuous problem. Like, they're adults, we tell them what to do, and we try to keep up with it. I'll give you my phone number, if you see trash, Tom, my name is Joyce, you call me, and I'll personally drag the trash, I mean it. I
But what
will
happens
give
if you
never-
sell the
never-
property?
I'm not selling the
No,
property.
what happens if you do, then who do
Tom,
I
I have.
call? I don't want to have
It's
to
a
call.
you know, it's my family building, it will always be a family building.
Been a family
My
building
mother
for a
lives
long
on
time,
Thatcher
Tom.
Street.
Zoned for a long
So, I
time.
mean,
Just like if you leave
it's not-
the
it's
North
not
End, you
going
want to rent
anywhere.
your condo to a student, then what, if, we can't keep
never
talking
selling
about
that.
it.
That's my
They've owned the
children.
building for many, many years.
For over 30 years.
And
Well, there was a problem last night,
Well,
so
call me, Tom.
I'm
You
not
call
going to
City
talk
Hall
about it
about the
anymore, but
bugs.
that's my opinion.
did you see who put it there? Did you see where it came from?
No, but it was in front of 3 Thatcher
Well,
Street.
sometimes people put trash in front
Yeah,
of
well, it
people's
happens to
houses.
us
We
all the
paid
time.
plenty of
That's
fines.
what
I
I was-
paid plenty of fines. You could go up to City Hall. That have nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
we have
easier than to
to.
go and protest every time.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It is a problem. We do the best we can. I don't know.
Yeah, oh, hi, please, name and street, please.
My name's Dave Roderick, Prince Street, 105 up. My question is, on the drawings, you don't show the distance between this building and the other building. Is there an alleyway? Is there a place where there could be receptacles to put the trash outside that wouldn't be just bags for the rats to take?
There's no alley, there's no public way between any of the buildings. There's
In back of
space
104?
In the back, no, because then you have 106, which is.
In back of 104, is there a
In the
place?
back, in the alley,
Well, that's-
and in the back,
They could store stuff there if it had containers, because at least it wouldn't be on the sidewalk.
I mean, I get it, and I understand the problem. The problem is who goes and puts it out all the time. I mean, we gotta rely on our tenants. Our tenants have to take responsibility, and our landowners have to take responsibility to make sure our tenants follow the rules and regulations of the trash. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, some of these bigger buildings that you see with maybe, I don't know, multi-units that have property managers that come and take care of the problem. I mean, for small buildings, or many of the small buildings, I'm gonna say more than many of them, rely on their tenants to be responsible.
Can I ask a question to you, Dan, because you know properties pretty well? In a building of this size, how unusual is it to have a small trash room?
I've been a lifelong resident in the neighborhood. I've lived in a number of buildings. I haven't, maybe today's day and age, maybe people are putting them in. I haven't seen many that there's a trash room. I've seen some in newer developments, such as when we worked on the old Sheldon's building, the 133 Salem Street. There was, when we built it, got it completely gutted out. There was some rooms with some recyclable containers. I think the other one across the street, 124 Salem Street, where they're doing some work now. Since it's filled ground up, there was some room that was designed to put a trash room and a chute from
When I
each
lived on
floor.
Hanover Street, we had it in the Casa Catelli's building. And, you know, they were rental units and, you know, it seemed to work really well.
A follow-up.
You know,
One other quick thing.
for 32 years I've owned this building. 32 years, there's never been a complaint about trash being in the wrong place. I go out from the city, with any of my neighbors. We're not adding any more we're not adding any more apartments. There's no more trash than the trash that's already there. There's 6 units. There's 6 units of trash that have been coming down for 32 years. And if this gets approved, there's gonna be 6 units of trash coming down after it gets approved. We're not getting an indulgement of trash.
Well, no, but and I totally appreciate that, but what I'm saying is the environment is changing, that people do need to recycle, and it's
Well,
very
the
difficult.
recycling is one thing, but the trash, all I'm saying is that this building's worked for 32 years. I don't have one complaint from any one of my neighbors. So, and that's fine, if you guys want to complain about trash, about this building here, that's fine, but I think it's kind of a moot point to go over something that, on this building, go over something that's
what we
Well,
can do.
we see it as an opportunity.
I think what we can
and
do
an
is-
opportunity
We just don't
lost.
have the money. And I'll give you my number, I'm serious. I come down and I shop ice there, I have a problem with ice.
Oh, yeah.
We have a, that, well, we
No, but
can
I'm
address
just
the ice,
saying.
I think with the addition, putting on the addition, we'll take away the drainage, which is the front, there's been a problem with that drainage, I know the Petty family's been for years trying to resolve it. This takes away, it's gonna be, drainage will be, I think, inside, internal drainage, so it takes away that problem. I'll talk to the architect, I'll talk to Finn, maybe there's a recycling bin, I don't know if a recycling bin can be, if there's room in the hallways, I haven't seen the hall. But I know, we can talk about it, but it's certainly something we won't shut the door to, but for now, it's gonna be relying on the tenants to be responsible.
Just a follow-up, if you don't have room outside or inside, could you have trash compactors so that at least be less? I don't know if that would help, because you talk about responsibility, I have to be responsible for the green tickets that I get that don't belong to
That's
us.
what I do.
That's what I'm saying,
I
we're
do
trying
the
to
same
prevent
thing.
that frustration.
It's never gonna end.
Tom,
Well, we're just
back.
trying to see-
Tom
I
Schiavone
understand
from
that.
Snow Hill
I
Street.
know.
I have a question. Are we dealing with just one building? Are we going to take a vote on both 102 and 104, or should we be dealing with this holistically? I just want to, that's a point of just a clarification.
It's been filed as two separate petitions, so I'll leave it up to the president to make a decision. However, it's two separate petitions that have been filed.
What is that?
Two votes.
Well, my question is, just architecturally, I don't want to start the 104, but are the buildings connected, are the utilities shared? Are we really talking about one
Two separate
property so that we're clear? So you could have a situation on a vote that if somebody, if one of the buildings in terms of the height might stay the way it is and the other might be voted down, is that conceivably a possibility? I'm just asking in terms of whether we're talking, should we really be talking holistically about both of the buildings?
Well, Victor, I'm going to throw it to you. If you feel it should be consolidated to one vote, I would defer. You can give us your considered opinion.
I haven't thought about it. I would think if the Board of Appeals is treating it as two appeals, then we should vote on two appeal items.
I think we're going to have to bring it to a vote, so I want to ask if there are any other questions from anyone who hasn't said anything. Elizabeth?
Where are the edibles?
And it goes down.
Okay. I have one comment I want to make, if there's been a lot of talk about the trash room. Much as I always love the curiosity of this bizarre thing that looks like it should be an entrance but isn't, and I know there's an ATM machine on there. If that's space that you guys could reclaim to do whatever with, including a trash room, it might be something to be considered. Just a suggestion. On that note, let me say that we're going to take two votes. And I don't know exactly how we're going to, we're just going to do it on the different properties, Victor. So why don't we go to ballot number one. Do we, first of all, I think I need to ask, we have a motion to vote, where the yes vote would be to support the variance necessary to do this.
So moved.
Seconded.
So moved.
Okay. We have a suggestion from Dan that actually, not actually, of course is a very good suggestion. And that is that he should address 104 right now, and then we'll do two votes rapidly. So I'm going to take the motion to vote as a motion that we're going to vote, but we're going to let Dan talk about 104, then do another motion, and then do two votes. Two votes
So we talked about 102 Prince Street. 104 Prince Street is abuts 102, and owned by the Petty family, Gary and Joyce. And what we're doing, we're seeking your support to change the legal occupancy from 4 residential units to 5 residential units. In turn, including construction of 1-story addition for a 2-bedroom unit, which will be approximately over 1,000 square feet of living space in that building. Right now, what you see is here, there's a storefront, which is the back part of the laundromat. That will be unit 1, and then so on. There's 2 bedrooms going up, 2 bedrooms on 2-bedroom unit on each floor. And this addition, which is going to be the same height as 102 Prince Street, approximately 54 feet, 9 inches, or roughly 54 feet. The 2-bedroom residential unit. And so in terms of the height, the same height, the violations that are very similar to 102 Prince Street, such as the open space, the height restrictions, which changes the dimensions of the roof, rear yard insufficient, is the off-street parking, which is included in this one and not the other one. The reason being because we are changing the legal occupancy of that particular location. Once again, there is no proposed roof deck for this particular proposal. There is not going to be a roof deck there. You can rental properly, do all the work at once. So I'm prepared to ask any questions. I think by doing both ends, the goal is obviously to beautify both buildings, beautify the neighborhood, take away the drainage, the problem that we see with the ice on the front, and pretty much keep both buildings trying to look as uniform as possible, keeping with the character of the neighborhood. So I'll answer some questions on 104, but that one here, we are changing the legal occupancy.
Lightning round, abutters.
I don't know if I'm called an abutter.
Okay.
On your renderings, I just want everybody to understand that you're not going to, when you redo the buildings, you're going to still keep the fire escapes?
Fire escapes, yes. There are fire escapes here at 102 that connect with, that building is actually, the main address is not Margin Street, that's owned by the Spagnuolo family. These fire escape connects, you got to keep the fire escape. And here, there are fire escapes that connects 102 and 104 that have to remain.
So you're not putting, because some of the people might not understand the floor plans, you're not putting fire stairs inside, you're still keeping the fire escape.
Keep the fire escape. Probably
So
inside the
your
building.
square footage
I
for
can't
your
imagine
bedrooms
they
and stuff aren't
would,
smaller because of the
I
stairs.
saw-
We're
say
putting
that
another
again?
stair in the back of the building. There's gonna be a brand new stairs in the back, in the
Now,
alley.
is that stair going to be enclosed or is it
No,
going to be
it's
like a
gonna
fire
be
escape?
partially, it's gonna be semi. It looks like it's between a fire escape and an enclosed.
But as far as the way the buildings look now, they're going to
Yes.
look very similar
Yes.
because the fire escapes are going to
Right.
stay.
Yes.
Right, fire escape's gonna stay. And I think what Joyce is talking about in the back, the second means of egress, but so comply
That's
with
what I
the
wanted
building
to
code
point
would be
out,
in the
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
They need second means of egress from the back, so it's the alleyway goes into the back.
Other comments, non-abutters? Please.
For butters, right?
Well, yeah, sure. Abutters always have.
My name is Tom Costello, and I live at 105 Prince Street. And I strongly am against the addition at 104 Prince Street. And I just for everyone to maybe if I voice it, it'll be clear. The objections from the Boston Inspection Services are floor area ratios, accessible. I don't know if Dan said that. Usable open space, insufficient rear yard, insufficient roof structure and building height restrictions, and fifthly, off-street parking is insufficient. So they're applying for a variance, and the code requires an floor area ratio of 3.0. So there's really only 3 stories that can be, is allowed at 104 Prince Street. Of course, the existing building is 4 stories, it's been grandfathered in, but I see no reason why an additional story, a 5th story should be allowed on that site, since the code is very clear that only 3 stories are allowed. The 4th floor is grandfathered in, but I see no reason why a 5th story is allowed. And it's a variance for everyone, maybe not everyone is super clear about it, but a variance is really only for extenuating circumstances, for irregularly shaped lots. This lot, 104, is more or less a rectangular lot. There's nothing extraordinary situation. And financial hardship legally is not a reason to grant a variance. So I want to be really clear that everyone understands that the FAR floor area ratio allows for 3 stories. So I did build a model which I showed on Monday. Can I bring that up for you?
This says in the floor area ratio, it doesn't necessarily mean the number of floors, but the floor area
Yes, but
ratio is
this-
already,
this, for
it's
this
already
lot.
excessive, it's already in violation, it's at 4.1 to be exact, and we are actually not changing the floor area ratio on this, it's gonna remain the same even with the addition, so.
What's the height of the building?
Height of the building is gonna be under 55 feet, and it wasn't, we're doing this for any financial hardship, it's to beautify the properties.
That's a question. What is beautiful is not, that's subjective. That's subjective.
What's the height of the building currently?
Currently, that one is 43. Right? I'll tell you in a second. One of them was 37. That might have been 37. That was 37.4. 104 is 37.4 and going to 50 at its highest point.
Very impressive.
So my main objection is that besides the floor area ratio is that it's going to, I live on the 4th floor, so this is going to block my sunlight. I work out of my residence. I live and work out of my residence. So this is going to directly affect the sunlight coming into my unit. And I feel like if a variance is granted, then for this regularly, more or less regular shaped plot of land, then any plot of land within the north end can, a variance can be given to. And that means it could be on Snow Hill Street, it could be on Charter Street, it could be on Salem Street. So this creates a precedent that I don't believe should be granted. And in addition, the height of the windows are floor to ceiling. So it's about, I don't know, 9 or 10 feet, 9 feet of window height. And the code requires that the proposed building fit in with the environment, the existing condition. So the window heights do not fit in with the more or less 5-foot high windows. And I talked to the architect on Monday, and they're talking about having metal panels. So it may look like, I'm not sure, stucco or cast stone or whatever, but what they're talking about, and it doesn't specify, show on the architectural drawings, is that these are going to be proposed metal panels, and they're going to wrap around, I'm not sure how far, but potentially all the way around, which also doesn't fit in with the character of the neighborhood.
It was the cast stone around it.
And in regards to the facade, I think everybody knows we do have, and in this case, we're gonna have 2 design reviews. First is the BRA design review, where you submit all a rendition of what it's gonna look like to the plans examiner at the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Boston, it gets assigned to an examiner, and basically the examiner asks you, the architect has to give them all the materials and what they present, the colors, everything. And you work with the architect or the plans examiner at the BRA, and the BRA will do a design review to make sure that the character of the North End or the neighborhood it is in is not adversely affected, and it fits in the character of the neighborhood. And I think what the architect has told Tom on Monday, will make every effort to work with Tom in regards to sunlight and type of material that maybe might be reflected if he feels that his sun will be lost. That particular property, I mean, I know the Marvin Street building is smaller and 106 is a little shorter, but the majority of the buildings on Prince Street and around that area, they're higher than this particular property. But we will work with Tom, and what we've done in the past, and I think Nicole can verify it, we've worked with abutters at the BRA design process review to make sure that everything is transparent, and we can talk about materials and what we can do to make sure that they're not affected.
Yeah, although I have requested, and you haven't changed, that you could kick this back, and then it wouldn't cast shadows on my windows.
I do have a question, I mean, on something that you said, and we're gonna have to wrap this up and get to the vote because we're timing out. But I was gonna ask if this was the tallest building on this particular block, and you suggest not. I just did a Google Streets map check that suggests that everything on the street is around this height all the way out to commercial. There are very few buildings that go high. So it does look visually on Google Maps that this does become the highest structure on that particular block. And that, I think that's important.
Well, I think there are a couple of buildings that, this one here, the Marnetti family, but I think when you get beyond the Marnetti family, it goes to 126. I mean, his building, 105 is a lot taller.
Yeah, this is tall.
That's his building.
Directly across the street on Thatcher Street, the corner building is taller. There's you've got the 10 buildings, like 50 units in there. That building's a lot taller. I mean, across the street, there's a number of taller buildings. I mean, I think what the family wants to do is upgrade the property, beautify it. It's going to look very nice. It's going to increase the value properties of everybody surrounding them, and that's it.
Just wanted to ask the question. One last from Stephanie, and then we have to put it to a vote. Well, and then
I have to ask you.
Well, Stephanie first.
But Stephanie,
And that's it. You are absolutely the
You
last
just
person.
mentioned increasing market values. We've heard a lot from the occupants at it's 105 Prince. Did anyone look at what the impact would be on the market values of your properties if you do lose air and view and sunlight from this addition?
I didn't talk to a realtor or anything, but, I mean, clearly if I lose sunlight, it's gonna detrimentally affect my
But the
property.
person buying the property will see it at the point that the renovation is done. They're not gonna know what it looked like before it moves any light. They're gonna be looking at your property after this is done, as it is. And
Mr. President, I could just
Please.
comment. We can only vote on what's being presented. What the architect may or may not work out with the abutters, and it seems like there's been some time for that discussion to have occurred before this meeting, and throwing it to the BRA. The BRA approved the project for the whole on Hanover Street, and what they presented to us and what the BRA apparently approved, to my way of thinking, was very much out of character with the surrounding buildings, and this doesn't look much in character either. I also think we need to give due consideration to abutters' objections. I think in the past, sometimes we have voted to support projects that go up, and we've been pretty generous in supporting projects that are going to stay the 55-foot limit, but we have abutters who have concerns here, and once we have voted to support, that's done. We can't go back and revisit it, and we will have given support to something that maybe the neighbors aren't so comfortable with. In addition, I think just because you can go up to 55 feet in the neighborhood doesn't mean that across the board we should be approving one after another, because kind of eventually, everything is going to be at 55 feet, and we won't have considered what the impacts of that are. Thank you.
Thank you. And Victor?
Yes, very quick. Dan said that there would be no roof deck.
Correct.
I'm looking at architectural plan A1, which looks to me as though there is what I would call a roof deck. Do you have a board that you can show all of us that has A1 on it? And can you tell me, is that going to be changed?
There's no roof deck. Look at the, I sent you the ZBA appeal.
Well,
That was the original plan that was sent. There was a setback of about 3 feet. There is no setback. It's up against the roof line. There's no roof deck. There's no roof deck. And you look at the Board of Appeals that I sent you, the ZBA, I would have to appeal for, it would have included a roof deck. Right, that was when the ZBA, that was during the ZLC, at the time of the ZLC, those were the plans that was redrafted, and now that,
that comes out to the...
that's the street.
To the facade
Flush.
line.
You're 18 inches back.
Okay, okay.
There's no roof deck.
Let me just say, it's, the FAR is 3.0 and the building height is 55. It's not either or, it's both. We have to follow both regulations, not either or.
So,
We have a lot of abutters across from us, on either side of us, that have not, and they live in the building, the Spagnoli next door, the Martinettis. I mean, we went into their houses and spoke with them. We're neighbors for years. Joanne Anzalone, the people across the way, I mean, it's just this one building.
I'm sure we're gonna
Their
have...
building's higher than ours with a roof deck.
And I think in closing, and then to echo what Joyce says, is, and I know we've heard some opposition from Tom, and we had some concerns from Sue, and certainly we'll try to work with Sue, I mean, and certainly work with Tom. I mean, but we have one, who's obviously opposed to it, but there are many of direct abutters who own the buildings directly surrounding this location that we submitted letters to the ZLC that support the development of this area.
And we'll take the letters into consideration. We also have to take into consideration the strong comments of the folks who've spoken here, and we appreciate all the comments that we've gotten. I'm going to bring it to the vote right now. We have the motion for ballot 1. Can I get and did we get it seconded?
Yep, been seconded.
Can I have a motion for ballot 2, which is the...
So moved. Second.
Great. So ballot 1 will be for 102/3 Thatcher. Ballot 2 is 104. We're going to do both votes at the same time. We'll hand them into the box at the same time, and then it'll all be ballot. Okay? Here. Ballot, the ballot 1 is for here in. Ballot 2 is for this part. We're voting separately because the ZBA is going to count them separately. I would imagine most people are going to put the same thing. But that's where the both votes in the box.
2 ballots, 1 and 2.